with Bishop Dale C. Bronner.
The difference, being able to understand difference. Now, uncertainty, because we're talking about changing your trajectory, because things are changing so much. Uncertainty is the new normal. Uncertainty is the new normal in technology, in communication. I mean, you know, I wish that they just tell us when the new telephone is going to come out so we won't have to get a new one every 2 years. Can you imagine somebody telling your great-grandmama, you're going to have to get you a new phone in 2 more years? He's like, baby, my other phone is working. As long as grandma had a dial tone on it. If it wasn't broke, she wasn't going to get a new one. I mean, her stuff was antique, and it was still working. Her skillets, still frying. You know, you're going to throw them out? You think you're going to talk grandma into getting something new? Can you imagine that? She wasn't going to get a new fly swatter as long as it was still, the other one was still working. And my wife's grandmother, boy, she didn't throw anything away. I had never seen a human being folding up and saving wax paper in aluminum foil. She'd go out to the restaurant, she'd get all of the sugar out of the little packages of sugar. I looked at her one time, she said, "You done paid for it." She would get the extra bread left in the basket, you know. Like, I know you're not going to leave that there. She wrapped stuff, you know, she had this huge pocketbook, and she had her to-go stuff already. She didn't have to ask for a container. She had her carry-out bag. But today, uncertainty is a new normal. So always be willing to do these things. Number one, adapt. Always be willing to adapt. Because conditions change. Competition grows. You have to stay fast. Stay flexible. Stay nimble. Stay nimble. Listen, blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. You must be able to adapt. Whenever you're in uncertain times, you've got to be able to roll with the punches. As the waves come in, you've got to be able to roll with them. If you don't learn how to roll with waves as they come in, you'll be going underwater constantly. You have to learn how to roll with the waves as they're coming in. Just roll with them. When I'm out in the ocean, I know how to roll with the waves. I know how to roll with the waves. You have to adapt because conditions change. Competition grows. You have to stay fast, stay flexible, stay nimble. Number two, improve. Improve. Always get better and do better. Always get better and do better. Let that always be your goal, to improve. Never be satisfied fully with how well you are performing at any level. You can be the top in your field, but don't ever become satisfied, because that's the beginning of your decline. Never settle for mediocrity. You see, Lloyd Jones says that the men who try to do something and fail are infinitely better than those who try to do nothing and succeed. Here's the next one. Observe, observe, observe. You know why I tell you to observe? Because you cannot think beyond your exposure. You cannot think beyond your exposure. So you have to be able to observe things. Talk to people. You learn things when you talk to other people. You know what you know, but you don't know what they know. So you observe people and observe situations. Just learn and look and listen. And then the next one is to connect. Just be really good to people. Be good to people. Treat people with respect and courtesy. Treat people with respect and courtesy. Value people. Value people. Value people. Love people. People value things and love things and treat people any kind of way, trying to get the things that they love. Connect. Just be good to people. Love people. Value people. Respect people and be courteous to people. It is interesting that In a survey of some older people, 90 and over, that were asked what would they do differently if they had to do it all over again, here were the top 3 answers. That they would have taken more risk and tried more things. They would have taken more risk and tried more things. They wouldn't have played it so safe, but they would have ventured into new jobs and new activities and new relationships. They would have taken more risks and they would have tried more things. Number 2, they would have worried less. They would have worried less. You know, instead of being preoccupied with money matters and health and family situations and work concerns, they would have been more relaxed, realizing that the most pressing concerns eventually seem to resolve themselves. You know, it's not the end of the world. You'll get over it. You'll get through it. You will get through it. You may not feel like you're going to get through it at the time, but you will live through it. You're going to live through it. They would have worried less. They would have worried less. I mean, can you imagine the time that you stayed up worrying about where your children were and what time they were coming in and what they were doing wherever they were? You couldn't do anything about it anyway. They said they would have worried less. And the third thing is that they would have taken more time to reflect. They would have taken more time to reflect. They would have stopped to think more about what was really important in life. And in looking back, they saw that almost everything that they had done was a response or a reaction to the demands of another person or situation. Other people's decisions and demands had largely shaped their lives. They were always reacting or responding to somebody else's demands or some other situation. But they would have taken more time to reflect. When you take time to reflect, you can see what you need to correct. When you take time to reflect, you will see more clearly what you need to correct. And here's a valuable principle of life, is that as your life experiences change, you must change your thinking. As your life experiences change, you must change your thinking. You must change your thinking. We cannot live above the level of our thinking. We cannot live above the level of our thinking. You will never live on a level beyond what you have the ability to think. It was Albert Einstein that said that the significant problems that we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. And it really honestly cannot. So we have to change our thinking. We have to change how we think. Now, there are a series of thinking skills that you must master in order to succeed in a world of rapid change. We are in a world of rapid change right now. I mean, medical procedures and technology and all of these things are changing in our world so incredibly rapidly. You have to be able to have a series of thinking skills in order to adjust and adapt and master some of the changes that we are dealing with. I want to give you a few of them. Number 1, reevaluating. Take time to re-examine all of the details of your life, especially when your life has changed dramatically. Re-evaluating. You go through change, stop and re-evaluate. And then here's a good key, is when you know that it's time to re-evaluate your life. It's when you start experiencing stress, resistance, frustration, failure, disappointment, or difficulties of any kind. If you are chronically irritable, angry, or unhappy with your work or your personal situation, it is a sign that it is time for you to stand back and reevaluate the situation. If you realize, I'm getting older, I'm not happy, I'm frustrated, I am stressed, you got to stop and reevaluate what you're doing, why you're doing it, when you're doing it, who you're doing it with. You got to stop and reevaluate some things. See the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. You've got to deal with the reality and reevaluate where you are. Anytime that something has been shifted and moved, you've got to find out, where am I right now? Before you can continue on successfully to your destination, Your system has to recalibrate. The satellite has got to find out where you currently are, or else it can't give you directions as to where you need to be. That's why you have to reevaluate. You can't base that on where you think you are. You've got to base it on where you really are. So whenever your life is in pain, in turmoil, in frustration, in depression, major sign it's time to reevaluate. Number 2, rethinking. The quality of your thinking is largely determined by the quality of the information that you have to work with. So get the facts, and stay calm. And one of the best ways to remain calm and to keep your mind clear is actually to ask questions. What exactly has happened? Who is involved? How did it happen? When did it happen? What is likely to happen as a result of this situation? What can be done immediately to address the situation or to minimize the cost? And another way to help you to sort of rethink a particular situation is for you to clearly write down the details of a situation on a piece of paper. Because the more detail that you write, the more calm, the more clear, the more effective that you become. And very often, the right course of action will actually jump off the page at you when you take the time to write it down. You see, most people, when they get frustrated about something in their life, they carry the frustration. They wrestle in the bed with it. Write it down. If you are burdened and stressed by something, write it down on a pad next to your bed. On the paper, here's the principle, on the paper, out of the mind. And there are too many people that carry things to bed, wrestling with those things all night long. Put it on the paper. You can manage it better on the paper than you can just just raging thoughts, just running rampant through your mind. Organize them on the paper. You'll be surprised how even a solution can come if you'll just stop and analyze that situation. Write that thing down in as much detail as you can possibly get it. And sometimes the solution will just jump off the page and you can see more clearly because it will calm your mind and steady you so that you focus and you can see things much more clearly through this rethinking process. But write it down, down every detail of it, and you can sometimes see where there's a breakdown and where things need to change. Number 3 is reorganizing. The purpose of organizing any personal or business situation is to ensure the smoothest possible functioning of it. And this is for effectiveness. You want it to be effective. You reorganize something so that it can be effective. You be prepared to organize and reorganize processes, procedures, and activities to increase the smoothness of operations and the efficiency of your work or your personal life. In times of transition, many people reorganize their lives completely. So you have to think about reorganizing. Reorganization saves time and money, energy and effort just to reorganize. You know, when people file a certain kind of bankruptcy, it's a reorganizational bankruptcy. It's not saying that we're finished, we're done with it, but we are changing the way that we were doing something that was not working, that brought us into this financial situation, and we are changing our policies, our procedures, our personnel. We are making some major changes. That's a part of making yourself more effective. Number 4 is restructuring. Because there is never enough time or money for everything that you want to be, have, or do. So you must economize. Restructuring involves moving time, money, and resources away from lower value areas of activity to higher value areas. What this is really about is about efficiency. Reorganizing is about effectiveness, but restructuring is about efficiency. You want to be able to be efficient in what you're doing. Efficiency, for example, you want to move from paper plates that's a weekly cost to you and start using ceramic plates. Well, you can just put that in the dishwasher, but you're not having to buy, you understand what I'm saying? You might need to move from using a paper towel to a cloth towel. or get you one of those little hand blowers, and you save the paper, So it's about becoming more efficient, more efficient. You have to restructure some things, how you do them, how you use those resources. Number 5 is re-engineering. Re-engineering is aimed at simplification, continually looking at ways to reduce the complexity or the number of steps in any particular process. When you re-engineer something, you make it more simple. You don't re-engineer something to make it more confusing and more difficult. You re-engineer something to simplify the process. And so you can reduce complexity by sometimes delegating low-value tasks and activities to other folks that might earn a lower hourly wage. And then you can do the job cheaper and better and makes the company stronger. Business people re-engineer all the time by outsourcing things that are not central to their business, or in which another company really specializes, and so they can outsource. That's a part of re-engineering. Number 6 is reinventing. It is reinventing. You reinvent yourself. That involves drawing a line under your past and imagining what you could or should do if you were starting over today with a clean slate. I mean, ask yourself the question that if my house burned to the ground, if my business burned to the ground overnight, and if I had to start all over again, what would you start up immediately and what would you never start up again? I mean, what would you not replace in your house? If your house burned down and you got to start all over again, are there some things that you know that you would not put in your new house? See, there are certain things that and that helps you. You have to reinvent some things. It begins to give you ideas as to what I can do with this right now. Just imagine that if your field became, that your field of expertise, your field of career became obsolete, what type of work would you choose? If you had to start all over again, where would you choose to do it? What skills or abilities would you choose to develop? And remember that as things change around you, be aware that you've got to be prepared on so many different levels. I just want to give you a few of them right quick. Number 1, personal preparation. Personal preparation. This includes the effect of our character, temperament, and personality on our future effectiveness. Because remember, leadership is really not about leading others. It is about leading yourself in a way that inspires others to follow. Personal preparation, personal preparation. Prepare yourself first. Number 2, professional preparation. This involves remaining current in your area of competence. In your area of competence. Remaining current in your area of competence. I mean, if you're going to really do something and do it well, you need competence, you need content, and you need capital. Content, competence, and you need capital. You're getting ready to launch something? You need good content. I mean, the stuff has got to work. You can't just have fluff. And you can fool people one time, but business has to thrive off of repeat sales. Nobody does well in the business. You can only sell it one time. I mean, I guess you can't only sell a coffin one time. But at least there are other folks that's going to die, so you got to make some more. And new babies are being born. That means every time a baby is born, they know somebody else is going to die. So they keep on making them. They keep on making them. They just keep on making them. But you got to have professional preparation. You got to have, number 3, relational preparation. That includes being aware of your chemistry and your ability to get along with all types of people. Because if God's going to bless you to go to a certain level, you got to be able to work with people who don't think like you do. People who don't look like you do. You got to be able to get along with all kinds of people, because God often hides something that you need in somebody that you don't like. So you need to be able to have relational preparation where you know how to get along with people. Number 4, family preparation. This ensures that those people that we love are ready for whatever they will face. Because when your life changes, your whole family has to adapt in some way to what's going on in your life. So you have to make sure that your family is prepared for the changes that are going to come. You know, if your career moves you to another city, you got your children have friends in a particular school, and now they got to be uprooted and leave their friends and teachers and familiar surroundings, the security of all of that, and spouse has certain things that they've gotten accustomed to, and they've got to leave. And so you have to prepare their minds, your family, for whatever is happening in your life. Family preparation. Number 5, financial preparation. This involves arranging your income and your expenses for your future. Remember, whenever you spend money, you're borrowing. Whenever you borrow, you're robbing from your future to enhance your present. And whenever you invest, you're borrowing from your present to enhance your future. But you have to be financially prepared. Number 6, educational preparation. And this includes returning to school, reading, joining professional associations, consulting, attending seminars, coming to Word of Faith. I hope you know, you see, I'm not talking about stuff that'll just make you get in the floor and start shouting and rolling back and forth, you know. You're in school. This is life. This is about preparing us and equipping us by the Word of God for life so that you don't go back the same way that you came. That something is laid in you and you're stretched in your thinking, in your perspective, in your understanding of situations. So it might not make you feel good, but I'm here to help you do good. May I give you this here, that one of the greatest things that hinders people from pursuing their dreams is a fear of failure. Failures are inevitable. Read my lips. Failures are inevitable. You will fail in some instances because all true success is born out of failure. All true success is born out of failure. You show me a person who has never failed, and I'll show you a person who's never done anything. Failure is a normal part of life. And there are more reasons than this, but I want to give you 7 quick reasons as to why people fail so you can guard yourself and safeguard yourself. Number 1, because they have unrealistic goals. You never know anybody that just start off and they want to conquer too much too fast? They're trying to bite off too much. They want to fly before they've learned to crawl. They have unrealistic goals. Unrealistic goals. Unrealistic goals. They be trying to lose weight, and they say, you know what, by next week I'm gonna lose 125 pounds. Now, you can lose 125 pounds, but you're not gonna lose it by next week. Unless you got a 110-pound tumor that you're gonna have cut out, in the middle of the week, you know what I mean? And you're gonna lose the other because you're too sick to eat anything, So, but unrealistic goals. Number 2, misappropriated resources. Misappropriated resources, where you just put your money, use your money for the wrong thing. How many people have done that? I know you wish that you had all of that money returned to you that you have misappropriated. All of the money that you threw away on stuff that didn't matter. Wouldn't that be wonderful if you could go to a place and get a refund and say, you know what? I didn't mean to do that. I didn't have any business doing this. Could you give me my money back, please? Just give it back. Listen, all of the liquor that I consumed, I had no business. I'm sorry that I drank all of that liquor. I want a refund. Every penny that I've ever spent on a pack of cigarettes, give me my money back. Can you imagine how well off you would be? Misappropriated resources. And number 3, changing conditions and circumstances. Some people fail just because, the market changed. People got upside down in their houses nowadays. It wasn't anything that they did, it was changing conditions and circumstances. The market changed. Number 4, people fail because of lack of skill. Lack of skill. You don't have sufficient skill, you're setting yourself up for failure. Number 5, poor preparation. Lack of preparation is almost, in essence, the reason for every failure. Poor preparation, poor preparation. Only reason you didn't win a race because you weren't adequately prepared. Number 6, inadequate or inaccurate information. Inadequate or inaccurate information. Where you made a decision and you didn't have sufficient information to make a good decision. And the root cause was inadequate or inaccurate information. And number 7, people fail because of wrong assumptions. You assume that because you open up a business that people are going to break your door down to get what you, because you just swear that you have the next thing that is the best thing since sliced bread and iced tea. And it's a wrong assumption. You have a wrong assumption. Now, listen, you ought to have positive expectations. You go get ready to go into business, you open a school, whatever you do, you ought to expect it to do well. Expect it to do well, but don't have wrong assumptions about things that don't have any basis in reality. I love something that Henry Link said. He says, while one person hesitates because he feels inferior, the other person is busy making mistakes and becoming superior. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, but don't make mistakes unnecessarily. Don't make mistakes unnecessarily. And when you take your time to realize that I might be going through changes right now, but God can help you in the midst of all of the changes that you're dealing with, and everything that is shifting around you, and everything that has failed, and circumstances that changed that didn't have anything to do with you, but the market changed, the industry changed, the demand for what you have changed. And whenever the circumstances, remember, adapt. Always be on the cutting edge. It would have been foolish for McDonald's to never institute having salads at their restaurants when people became more health conscious. It couldn't just be burgers and fries anymore. I mean, you can go to McDonald's and get some sliced apples. I mean, who ever thought? Frappuccino at McDonald's. Salad at McDonald's. But you have to change. There are certain things that just have to change. When the demand changes, you have to adapt. Be flexible enough to change, to reevaluate things. I meant to re-engineer things, to restructure things. You got to rethink a whole lot of things that go on in this life. And ask yourself some serious questions.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Until next time, God bless you.